everybody, thank you so much for joining me and welcome to today's video, which is going to be all about Max Factor makeup. Now, Max Factor is one of the original makeup brands. It actually started in 1909. Now, is there a makeup brand that started before 1909? I don't know about it. If you know of one, let me know in the comments. So Max Factor, the man, was born in Poland and he moved to the US in the early 1900s and started this brand of makeup. And it's still going today. You can still buy Max Factor makeup and some of the products are the same. They've got the same names. There's the traditional things like the cream puff powder. I've got some of it here. You'll be seeing me putting it on my face in a bit. The pan stick, you can still buy this stuff, and if you're in the UK, it's in Boots and Superdrug and a lot of the supermarkets. If you're in America, you can buy it on Amazon as well. So it is all still available. And without me waffling on too much more, I'm going to put my hairband in and get some of these lovely products on my face. And yeah, of all the videos I've done on YouTube, I've never talked about Max Factor. And I don't know why, because as I said, it is the original makeup brand. Certainly one of them anyway. I mean, when you think of the other brands that are around at the time, Elizabeth Arden, I think. I don't know of any others that go that far back. Now then, let me talk about what foundation I'm going to use, because Max Factor, I think they did come up with the first foundation, and it was very much geared up towards the actresses of the time. Max Factor became known in that golden era of Hollywood, and he worked with a lot of the famous actresses like Ava Gardner, Jean Harlow, people like that. And before him, the makeup that these actors and actresses would wear was something called grease paint. And that was like theatrical makeup, and it just looked awful on camera, on film. So Max Factor came up with something called pancake. And I remember seeing Joan Collins talk about pancake, and later on it became pan stick. There was a stick version of it. And she was talking about that, saying she used to use it back in the day. And obviously things have developed and technology has moved on throughout the years. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting that it was the first brand really to come up with foundation as we know it today. And there are quite a few varieties available. The Facefinity is probably their most well-known one. And the one I have that I'm going to use today is this one. It's called Lasting Performance, and it's in the Facefinity line. And this was the one that appealed to me the most because it's meant to be a matte finish. It's meant to be long wearing. Obviously it's called Lasting Performance. And I just thought, yeah, I like the squeezy tube as well. I think this is great for travel. As you know, if you've seen me before, I do love a squeezy tube. And I just thought the colour looked quite nice for me as well. I've got it in Ivory Beige, and I'm just going to squeeze some of this out onto the back of my hand. Squeeze some out. Ivory Beige. See, it's quite thick, isn't it? It's very thick in consistency. I'm going to apply it with my Bailey foundation brush, this slanted one. Just, oh, yeah, it is really, really thick. And just put a few dots of this all over my face and just blend it in. But look at that colour match. That's really quite good for me, isn't it? And is it fragrance? No, it's unfragranced, which I know a lot of you will like. But do let me know, have you used Max Factor? Is it something that you used to use back in the day, maybe when you were a teenager or when you were first getting into makeup? What do you know about the brand? Have you had any experience with it? My first experience with Max Factor was watching my grandma use it. Because she didn't wear much makeup at all, but she did wear some, you know, when she went out and things, she'd put some makeup on. And I remember her using Max Factor Cream Puff. And I've got the powder here, Cream Puff. This has been going for so many years. And it's got a very distinctive smell. And when I was shopping for this video the other day in Boots, I picked up a cream puff, and as soon as I opened it, that smell immediately took me back to being about 6 or 7 years old at my grandma's house, watching her getting ready for church on a Sunday morning, putting her makeup on and doing her hair, and it was just so nostalgic. And yeah, I think smells can get you like that, can't they? They're very evocative. So it just made me want to do this video even more, really, just to share it with all of you and to see if you have any memories of Max Factor as a brand. But there we go. That is this foundation on. And I have to say, for a drugstore brand, actually, I'm impressed. And I know I've been speaking a lot lately about drugstore brands, and especially foundations, and how much they've come on in recent years and how much they've improved. Just having a good look in my mirror here. Yeah, it seems quite nice, actually. It seems very smooth. It doesn't seem to be settling into my fine lines or anything. It's not emphasising my pores or anything I don't like. So it's a really nice, solid drugstore foundation, in my opinion. So yeah, I like it. Now, the concealer I bought, this is a first impression. I haven't used it yet, but I got the Facefinity All Day Flawless Foundation, and this is supposed to have 30-hour wear. And I picked this one up in the shade 010. I'll list all the products below and all the shades and everything in case you're interested. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really hear many people talk about Max Factor on YouTube or anywhere else. And I must admit, I wasn't holding out much hope, if I'm honest, because a lot of these products have been out for so long, and I don't know how many times they've been updated and reformulated. I don't actually know that. So, you know, I wasn't holding out much hope, but we have a lot more sort of newer, younger brands now, don't we? And I just thought, is Max Factor still going to be as good as it was when it first started? So I'm just putting a bit of the concealer on. I'm blending it in with my e.l.f. concealer brush. So I just thought, yeah, let's do a video where we're just putting these products to the test and just doing a full face and just seeing how they apply to my 48-year-old skin. So I'm definitely in that mature category now, aren't I? Late 40s. I read something the other day that in the beauty world, you're classed as mature if you're over 30. So I thought, blimey, I've been mature for quite a lot of years now, haven't I? Oh, well, it comes with wisdom, doesn't it, apparently? That's what they say. That's really nice. Look how much that has brightened my under eye area. I think I'm going to put a little bit more on the left side. But that is really nice. Blend it in again with this. I mean, obviously my grandma, I never saw her use concealer or anything like that. But I remember her using powder and blush. She used to like her blush. She used to call it rouge. Bit of rouge on her cheeks. She loved it. And she had gorgeous full eyebrows. So she wouldn't do anything to her eyebrows. She'd just sort of straighten them. And I think maybe she combed through them with one of those little combs, but that was all she'd do. And lipstick, obviously she liked her lipsticks. So there we are. I really, really am impressed so far with those base products. What do you think? Now then, let's move on to the good old iconic Max Factor Cream Puff. And it comes in a little compact like this now. And what shade is this? It's actually in translucent, 05 translucent. And it's just quite plain, sort of inexpensive packaging. It does come with the little powder puff. And even though it says it's translucent, it does have a bit of colour to it, doesn't it? But oh, that smell. I mean, it is a bit like the bottom of an old lady's handbag, as I've heard Sally Hughes say before. Not particularly about this product, but she just describes certain products as smelling like the bottom of an old lady's handbag. But it's lovely, and she herself really likes that smell because it is just so like comforting and nostalgic, isn't it? So I'm going to apply some of this powder now with my big fluffy Bailey brush. And I mean, is it the most finely milled powder in the world? No. You know, is it going to be lovely and soft and blurring on my pores and everything? Probably not, but let's give it a go. Let's give it a go and see. Oh yeah, if you don't like fragrance in your makeup, steer clear of this, because it is really quite strongly fragranced. So I'm just applying the amount that I usually would with a setting powder, just down my T-zone, because I can get quite oily there. And let me see. Okay, yeah. It's not my favourite powder. It's not my favourite. I feel like it has given my skin some colour, and it does say it's translucent, but I feel like it has sort of given me a sort of warmer colour than I had before I put it on, and I can see it sitting on top of my skin. Yeah, I think definitely the technology in terms of powders has improved and advanced a lot in recent years. But you know, bless it, it's been around since 1953, it says there. So do you know what I mean? It's 1953. It's like it's the old lady of makeup, isn't it? So I think it deserves some respect for that. So there we are. Now, bronzer. I've got the Facefinity bronzer powder, and I have heard one or two people talk about this. Mine is in the shade Light Bronze, 001 Light Bronze, and I have used this a couple of times, and it's nice. It's a really nice bronzer. It's quite soft, it's quite smooth. Is it my favourite bronzer in the world? No. It sort of pulls very warm on me. I like a bronzer that's more of a sort of neutral to cool undertone, like a rosy bronze. I think that suits me better. And this one, it does have the very sort of warm, yellowy, orangey undertones in it. But again, you know, I'm gonna put some on and see what we think, because some people love a warm tone bronzer, don't they? So if you're one of those people that loves a warm tone bronzer, you might really like this. But okay, I feel like it's a bit patchy as well going on. I don't feel like it's the smoothest bronzer. And I know it's drugstore, it's not the most expensive product out there, but I've used some really, really excellent drugstore bronzers recently. The Maybelline City Bronzer has been a favourite for a long time. What else? The e.l.f. Primer Infused bronzers are really, really good. But again, these are, you know, they're more modern products. They've got more modern technology going into them. I even like the NYX bronzers. What are they called? The buttermelt bronzers. You have to be careful though, they're very pigmented. But if you use a big fluffy brush and a light hand, I do like them. So what are we thinking of this? I'm kind of feeling like it's making me a bit orange, but it's all right. I'm going to try and tone it down a bit with the blush. And the blush that I've got that I'm going to use today from Max Factor is one of their liquid blushes, and it's called Miracle Pure. It's infused cream blush, it's called, and it says it's infused with hyaluronic acid. Now, don't get me started on skincare in makeup products. I have opinions, and if you saw my recent video on the Estee Lauder Double Wear new reformulation, I was talking about my opinions in that video. I don't like skincare in makeup. I don't see the point of it. I don't think it adds anything. You know, I like my skincare to be skincare, and I like my makeup to be makeup, and I like them to be separate. You know, I use that one and then I use that one. Call me old-fashioned, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, it's a squeezy tube, so I don't have a problem with a squeezy tube. I quite like it. What colour is this? Vintage Peony. A Vintage Peony. And it's nice. It's a nice shade for the winter, actually. You only need a little bit. Have I put too much on? Not sure. I'm going to use my e.l.f., what's this called? My Stain and Tint Blending Brush from e.l.f. I like this brush. And I'm just going to pat, pat, pat and blend it in. Now, it's kind of like a russety mauvey colour, this blush. I wouldn't wear it in the summer, but in the winter time, I think it can be really, really nice, like you've just been out in the cold, you know? Again, this side seems patchy. This side seems okay to me, but this side, just there, it looks patchy. I'm going to just go in with a little bit more, see what happens. Might make it worse. Oh well, let's have a go and see. Pat, 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 pat. These slanted brushes are lovely, aren't they, for just pat, 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 patting in your creams and your liquids. It still is a bit patchy, but yeah, oh well. After a few minutes, sometimes your makeup products, once they've settled into your skin and they've sort of blended and mixed in with each other, it can kind of change how your makeup looks and your own natural oils come through and things like that. So I'm not going to judge it too harshly just yet. I'm going to wait till the end and see how the overall look turns out. Do you know what I mean? So there we are. What do you think so far? So now then, what we're going to do next. Oh, I didn't bring in an eyebrow pencil because I don't have an eyebrow pencil from Max Factor. So what shall I do? I can't really not do my brows, can I? I'll just go and get an eyebrow pencil. Please hold. Hi, so I've got my Maybelline Express Brow. Yeah, Express Brow in the shade Soft Brown. And I'm just going to go over my nano bladed area with this. So it's a really nice micro fine pencil at one end and you've got your spoolie at the other end. So Max Factor then. And the golden age of cinema. I love watching those old films, you know, on a Sunday afternoon, a rainy Sunday afternoon. And we've had plenty of rainy days here in the UK the last month or two. I heard on the radio actually that we've had 39 consecutive days of rain. 39. It's ridiculous, isn't it? We are due some respite on Saturday, so I believe. I think the rain might stop for a few hours on Saturday. So we all have to get out and make the most of those few hours. Yeah, but because the film stars back in the day were using this makeup from Max Factor, it kind of brought it to the regular woman, because Max himself said that glamour should be accessible to all women, not just, you know, the glamorous famous movie stars. So bless him. I think we'd all like to thank him for that, wouldn't we? Yeah, so really good. And I believe Pat McGrath was the creative director for Max Factor early on in her career. So yeah, she's done well for herself, hasn't she, since then? Now, moving on to eyeshadow, I'm going to put a little bit of this concealer on my eyelids just to act as a bit of a primer, just to keep my shadows in place. So just pat this in with my fingertip. There and there. Yeah, lovely. And then moving on to eyeshadows now, I've got one of these little quads from Max Factor, and this one is in the shade Crushed Blooms, it says, and it's these lovely sort of lilac-y, purpley mauvey shades, which I think for spring are absolutely beautiful. It's coming up to the end of February now, so it'll soon be spring, and I just love these shades. And obviously Victoria Beckham has recently brought out her Orchid eyeshadow palette. Lisa Eldridge has brought back the Betty palette, and those two also have these sorts of shades in them, these lilac-y mauvey tones for spring. And I just thought, let's see what Max Factor's got to offer us. You know, let's see how something like this can compare. And that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to take my MAC 217 brush to put a colour through my crease. And I have had a little play around with this palette. And I have to say, it's not the most pigmented. If you love a really, really pigmented eyeshadow, certainly this shade, maybe even this shade, I'm not sure what you'll think of them. And I'm not even going to bother with this shade because I know it just won't show up on me. So I'm going to go into this shade here on my MAC 217 brush and just apply that over my lid and into the socket there. And they're very, very soft and subtle, these shadows, which some people love, don't they? And I must say, if you've ever used any of these Chanel quads, I have in the past, and I've had about this much pigment out of some of those Chanel shadows. So it's not always about sort of how expensive something is it? The quality of the products sometimes. It can be, but not always. But if you like a subtle, soft eyeshadow look, you might really, really love this. And I do think that for spring, this sort of mauvey lavendery shade is really, really nice. And if you've got green eyes, anything in that purple family is really good at bringing out the green in your eyes because it's the opposite on the colour spectrum. So I'm going to go in with a sort of stiffer, more tightly packed brush now. And I'm going to go into the deepest shade in the palette here. And I'm just going to place that in the outer corner of my eye. So yeah, there is a bit more pigment in this deeper shade here, as you'd expect, really. Yeah, I think this is really nice. So this is the only one of these quads that I've tried from Max Factor. They do other ones as well. I haven't used them, so I can't speak to how well they perform. If you have used them, please leave a comment and let us know what you think of it. There we do. And Max Factor also do those larger eyeshadow palettes, you know, the longer, thinner ones with the thin strips of shadow. They do a neutral toned one. They do one in like rosy pink colours. I believe they're very good as well, but I don't have one of those. But actually, so far, I quite like this as a sort of soft, subtle spring look. I think it's nice. And this sort of more shimmery, lighter shade here, you can see I've had my finger in it already. It's very, very soft and creamy, this. Really soft and creamy. And as a highlight, as a sort of inner corner highlight, it does the job really, really nicely. And there's no glitter in it. There's no glittery particles in it, which makes me very happy. So yeah, it's just nice, isn't it? Just nice daytime friendly, sort of work appropriate, you know, it's just really, really nice. And I like that a lot. So I'm going to go through now with a fluffier brush. I've got one of my Bailey fluffier brushes here, and just give that all a bit of a blend, mix it all in together. Lovely. Yeah. There we go. So if you are in America, you might be thinking that Max Factor doesn't exist anymore, because I think they stopped selling it. When was it? It was quite a few years ago, wasn't it? They stopped selling it. But CoverGirl is the sister brand to Max Factor in America. So they're owned by the same parent company. And you can kind of see it with certain products, like the mascaras, for instance. The Max Factor mascaras are this sort of size and shape. And I know some of the CoverGirl mascaras look like this, don't they? Likewise, there's a lip product by Max Factor called Lipfinity. I'm going to use it in a bit. But it's one of these, and you get the shiny top coat. And CoverGirl do a lip product very similar to this as well, don't they? So if you think you can't get Max Factor anymore in America, have a look at CoverGirl, because a lot of the products are really, really similar. And I think sometimes they're the same product, but just in slightly different packaging. So there's that. I think they're both owned by Coty these days. as are lots of other brands as well. Now then, for my eyeliner today, I'm going to use my Masterpiece Wow liner. But the thing that really stood out to me about this was the colour. Look at this colour. What is it called? Sweet Fig. Sweet Fig it's called. And it's that gorgeous sort of red wine, like Bordeaux shade, which I am loving at the moment. If you've seen some of my other videos, this particular shade of eyeliner I'm really into at the moment, and I think it kind of goes well with this sort of purpley toned eyeshadow too. So I'm just going to apply some of this along my upper lash line, just to thicken it up a little bit up there and add a bit of depth. Lovely. And it does say it's waterproof as well, this liner. They had some kohl pencils as well, but I know I don't get on with kohl pencils because I've got hooded eyes and I've got quite oily skin. So kohl pencils tend to smudge and move around too much on me and I don't like them. But a good waterproof pencil like this, I really do like. So it's quite nice and smooth actually going on. It's not one of those dry hard pencils, you know, it doesn't snag or anything like that. So do a little bit on the waterline just under there. That's lovely. And just because I want to, I'm going to take a little bit of this underneath, just in that outer corner. That's a very optional step for me, but I just want to today. And then I want to blend that. So I've got one of these slanted eyeliner brushes also from Bailey. I'm just going to go over that and just blend it. Yeah, I think if you are going to put anything on your lower lid, keep it very soft and diffuse. We don't want any harsh lines under there. I think that is a very aging look, honestly. So as long as it's very soft and blended well, it can be nice. There we go. Now on to mascaras. And I showed you a little while ago, didn't I? These two. Now the first one I'm going to use is something a bit different for me. I wouldn't normally do this, but it's the False Lash Effect Primer and it's called Max Out Blue. And it's a mascara primer that's blue. Now you might be thinking, Rebecca, what are you doing? You don't like colourful mascaras, and you'd be right, I don't. But the thing with this one is that once it's on your eyelashes, you then go over it with a black mascara, and what it does is it makes the black even blacker. The blue in this makes the black mascara even blacker. And I have heard it's a really nice primer as well. Now look at that, you can really see that bright cobalt blue colour. So I'm just going to get some of this on my lashes now and just see what it does. So, I mean, it's not scary, is it? That looks scary, but, you know, once it's on your lashes, it just gives a really slight hint of blue. But it's just primed my lashes beautifully for the black mascara that I'm going to put on top. So let's do the same over here. Oh, I can see the blue actually now. It looks a bit strange with that purple eyeshadow. But it won't stay like this. It will go black. All right. Okay, so there we are. I've got blue upper lashes now. So Max Factor False Lash Effect, classic. Is this waterproof? Yeah, it's waterproof. I do prefer a waterproof mascara because I've got hooded eyes and oily lids. The wand is very similar, isn't it, in size and shape to the primer, but this is my black coat now. So let's go over the top of this blue primer and see what it gives me. Yeah, that's quickly covered up the blue colour, I can tell already. It says it's a false lash effect, so you'd expect that sort of vavavoom stripper lash, wouldn't you, as Nadine Baggott calls it. Okay, I wouldn't necessarily say that's given me the biggest, thickest lashes ever, but I don't know, maybe it needs another coat. I'll just go over the other eye first, and then I think I'll go back and do another coat and see if I can build it up to give me thicker lashes. I'm not going to go on to my lower lashes with this today, just because I've gone under with that liner. I don't usually like to do both. So let's see what a second coat does. So yeah, have you used CoverGirl mascaras if you're in America? They're very popular. I know that they are very popular. Do they look similar to this? Have you used one? Does it look similar to this? Actually, I think that second coat has thickened things up a bit. Actually, it's a little bit clumpy, tiny bit. Not the worst mascara I've ever used by any means, you know, far from it. It's nice. But it's just probably, I don't know, it's not my L'Oreal Panorama. That's my favourite one. It's not that, you know, and I don't know how this would have looked without that primer either. I certainly wouldn't say that this is giving me a false lash effect. No, I wouldn't. But that's okay, you know, it's still a nice mascara. And yeah, it has definitely thickened my lashes. Oh, I am seeing a bit of transfer up here from that eyeliner. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I'm just seeing a bit of transfer up here, and it's meant to be waterproof, so that's a bit disappointing. Oh well, it might not do that on you. If you don't have oily lids, it might not do that on you. So I know that sometimes things are a me problem. They're not necessarily the products, do you know what I mean? But some people do have similar skin to me, so this might happen on you as well, who knows. Now then, moving on to lips. Max Factor lip products, I'd say, are pretty iconic. They're some of the first lipsticks I ever bought when I first got into makeup. They're classic bullet lipsticks. These I think are really, really nice. And look at that packaging, isn't that gorgeous? It's very, very sleek. It's got Max Factor written here. I did a video recently on Revlon makeup as well, and the packaging, I would say Revlon and Max Factor's packaging is quite classy, isn't it? It's quite sophisticated looking. And yeah, these lipsticks are as well. And I've got this in the shade Raisin 105, and it's a really, really nice pigmented, fairly long lasting satin finish lipstick. I'll show you it. I absolutely love this colour, and you've got a little X embossed in it there as well. And I think for a drugstore lipstick, that attention to detail is lovely, isn't it? I'll just put a bit of this on just to show you this Raisin colour and see what you think. It's got a smell that's similar to the Rimmel lipsticks, if you've ever tried those, like Amethyst Shimmer and Heather Shimmer. It smells like those, which I quite like. So there you go. That is this lipstick in the shade Raisin. But I'm not going to keep this on my lips today. I'm going to take that off, because what I really want to use today, what I really want to show you, is the Lipfinity product. So with this, you get your paint, I guess you'd call it, which is your colour layer, and then on top of that you put your balm, sort of the glossy top coat. And this Lipfinity product has been around for years and years and years, and it's not new at all. It's not even new to me. I've had, you know, one of these on the go for a long, long time, but because this is the first Max Factor video I've ever done, I couldn't not use these because they are great. And if you need a lip colour to be bulletproof, to last you all day through meals, eating, drinking, talking, kissing even, I don't know about that, but if you want a lip product that's bulletproof, I don't think you can go wrong with this. And I know everyone goes on about the Chanel ones, don't they? The double tenue, is it? The double-ended Chanel ones. I prefer this. I think this lasts a lot longer than that one does. And it comes in a really nice amount of shades as well. There is a knack though. You don't want too much on your wand. You want to wipe off any excess. And then once you've put this on, you need to give it a couple of minutes to set, and then you go over it with the top coat. So let me show you what I do. First of all, what shade is this? I can't see it, but I'll list it down below for you. It's quite a cool toned pink. There you go. So quite a thin layer. And then I want to keep my lips apart. Not very easy when you're talking, is it? But just give it a minute just to set down. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so now let's pretend it's been a couple of minutes. And I'm going to put this glossy top coat over the top. Okay, yeah, that's probably all right. So if you are going out, you just throw this in your handbag. The colour will stay all day. You just take this in your handbag and touch up every few hours whenever you want to. It gives a lovely amount of hydration as well. That is lovely. I mean, look at that. The colour, the shine, the staying power. I love this cool toned pink as well and how it looks with this mauvey eyeshadow. Yeah, I actually really quite like this makeup look. And I know I was a little bit unsure at first, wasn't I? I wasn't sure about the powder, the good old cream puff traditional powder, but now it's had a few minutes to sit on my skin and to blend in with everything else. I actually think it looks nice. Yeah, and good old drugstore Max Factor makeup. What do you think? I would love to know. I'd love to know if you have any history yourself with this brand, or if, like me, you have memories of maybe your mum or your grandma or aunties or people like that in your family using it. I think they have some really, really solid products that have stood the test of time. They really, really have stood the test of time. And yeah, I think a lot of us can be swayed by the newer, younger brands, can't we? The trendy products, the latest, greatest, the newest thing. But I would say don't overlook the old classics, because, you know, you might be missing out on some really, really excellent products. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it there today. It's been a fun trip down memory lane, hasn't it? And I'll see you all again in my next video. Bye bye everyone. Bye.